I can just say, yes, that is true. They cannot admit that they do not believe pensioners should be mistreated. In fact, I pity them. Mr. Speaker, permit me to focus now on some regional issues. We have already highlighted the decline in production by small to medium scale miners, Mr. Speaker, that the government has been presiding over. The approximately 50% drop in only a few years. Some, Mr. Speaker, have come during some of the highest gold prices on record, including the present soaring price of gold. Only a government that is fluent in its management, Mr. Speaker, would oversee such a decline even in that industry. This means that miners, Mr. Speaker, must be keen to work, but the government's mismanagement is holding them back. Mr. Speaker, the people in my community depend on this industry, that's the extractive industry. They have languished under a government that has no interest in their livelihood. These small businesses, Mr. Speaker, benefit from loans to purchase equipment. They should at least benefit from loans to purchase equipment, which we have advocated. The Small Businesses Bureau, Mr. Speaker, the government's attitude towards small business in general is limited in both scope and vision. We need to also we also need to grant some grants, Mr. Speaker, to help miners increase their capacity to purchase equipment. We need them to benefit as much as possible from the price of gold. We also need to ensure, Mr. Speaker, that these people benefit from the oil resources. Mr. Speaker, we believe that this emphasis on small business must extend into agriculture across our country. Farmers are small businessmen too. We should provide them with loans, grants, and access to areas where they can do proper agricultural pursuits. Grasslands for cattle owners. This will help them to improve their productivity and bring prices down for goods that can be imported into the region. We have repeatedly emphasized regional agriculture, Mr. Speaker, because we believe in the regions, the production of food will lower the cost. The more production of food will lower the cost. This is because it is well established that regions can produce food at a lower cost, and therefore they need the sort of support mechanisms. Mr. Speaker, I do not have to tell that the cost of living crisis is something that is a living memory. Mr. Speaker, however, I want to highlight that Guyana's hinterland suffer the most when prices soar. And this is because most of the people in the region will have to take food stuff on those dangerous roads. Mr. Speaker, with the perpetual high cost of fuel, it must have its effect on these unbearable prices. Mr. Speaker, the 2024 budget is, if not the PPP's last budget, it's the second to the last budget. And Guyanese will welcome this change. Mr. Speaker, we also believe that investing in regional infrastructure is vital, but also from one of their elite campaigners, they have said themselves that we cannot eat roads right in Madhya. But today, Mr. Speaker, today they are building roads practically across the region. Quality roads, Mr. Speaker, will lower the cost of transportation, but the kind of roads they build today and it's broken down tomorrow. They throw billions of dollars in education too, Mr. Speaker, but achieve lower pass rates at CSEC mathematics than the coalition did with fewer resources. Huge sums allocated for healthcare each year. But has Guyana's life expectancy improved substantially? The resounding answer is no. The PPP believes in output, in spending, but has little interest in outcomes. Mr. Speaker, I wish to remind this House that the government of Guyana earned approximately $60 billion of unexpected revenue from the high price of oil that squeezed our gold industry. Why weren't those funds, Mr. Speaker, put to use in keeping the prices of gasoline down, especially in Region 8 and the hinterland? For example, Mr. Speaker, a loaf of bread in Georgetown will cost a couple of $100, but in certain areas in the Region 8, it will cost approximately $1,000. Mr. Speaker, this seems to be there might have been some measure of gold in the bread, especially golden harvest bread. Mr. Speaker, this budget comes at a time when the country can prove how fast its economy is growing. However, despite all these resources, it can't improve the lives of ordinary people. Mr. Speaker, I'm talking about teachers. I'm talking about whatever the high cost of living is doing to its ordinary people. It is widening the gap, Mr. Speaker, between those who have and those who don't have. The PPP talks about equality, but it likes inequality. It believes in its elite, friends, family, and favorites. And they believe that they are the only ones that matter in this country. Mr. Speaker, the PPP likes to say it's a fair party, one that does not discriminate on the warrant of contracts. Mr. President, we have forgotten the famous Sue Sen. Where is Mr. Sue today? Mr. Speaker, we still want to hear the law enforcement people and the Vice President provide some form of assistance on the basis of friendship. That's what they do. Mr. Speaker, most Guyanese are friends of that special person, and only through that special person, I guess he also is a friend of the prominent Minister of Public Works. Ever since I was there at the Post Office Corporation. Mr. Speaker, nowhere is this attitude more prevalent in Region 8. This thing about friends, families, and favorites. In my last year's speech, Mr. Speaker, I alluded to the fact that there is something called Warner Bros. Warner Bros. Mr. Speaker, I must stress that's part of the elite group in Region 8, where the family, wife got on the boards, and so the husband gets contract. And so the son gets contract. Selfishness, Mr. Speaker. And if not their friends, a part of the political hierarchy. Selfishness, Mr. Speaker, only people of a certain group. Mr. Speaker, it is careful. Mr. Speaker, I carefully examine the 2024 budget. It offers nothing towards hardworking people who have put together this 2024 budget. I want to thank them for their hard work, But, Mr. Speaker, I think they deserve more than 6.5%. And I want to suggest at this forum, Mr. Speaker, that they be given no less than 50%. Mr. Speaker, my sympathy goes out to the families in the remote areas where it is talked a lot over there on that side of the aisle that they're going to get tax measures on fuel, water, etc., etc., for the years 2020, 2021, and 2022. But, Mr. Speaker, most of our people do not use pipe water there. Secondly, I want to caution my people in Region 8 because I have discovered that a meter was installed in a particular region in November of last year. And by Region 6. And by December, a bill was offered. And with that, Mr. Speaker, the bill had a date 3 days after, but the second day, the water was cut. Mr. Speaker, when it comes to public works, we are proud of the coalition's many stringent efforts throughout the region. During the 3 years, and I was privileged to travel on those interconnected roadways in the interior there, 1.8 billion was invested, and those roads stood the test of time. I personally traveled on it, Mr. One symbol of progress is we move from merely repairing wooden bridges, Mr. Speaker, to the construction of concrete bridges and culverts. Similarly, the coalition remedied the massive, when we talk about buildings, Mr. Speaker, the coalition remedied the massive, costly Cato Secondary School, which was started and supposed to be completed by the PPP, but it had massive defects. The building, Mr. Speaker, was unsafe and could not be occupied. Cato is a national embarrassment to our PPP government. And I'm afraid, Mr. Speaker, that schools like St. George's, Christchurch, may fall in the similar category. These projects are delayed, just the same as a long list of schools that the PPP could not have completed during their term of office. I am still waiting for the Maja fire, and especially Maja Arcade. I didn't hear anybody from over that side talk about the Maja Arcade fire. What I know for a fact, I will leave that for the purposes of a private conversation. This contrasts with the advances we brought to the region, Mr. Speaker, like introducing access to potable water, and we're talking about history making Paramakatawai water catchment. I was there when the fire was done. Mr. Speaker, what has happened? I'm coming to the mathematics of the day for last year's budget. This, Mr. Speaker, what happened to the sun-dried tomato project in Paramakatawai? This created self-employment to farmers and further employment to processors, Mr. Speaker. It was a landmark project that brought revenue to the village. And also, Mr. Speaker, as a sitting member of the board, we guarantee that every community had access to the completion of roads in the north, and so that the required funds and resources could have gone for the development of the communities. Mr. Speaker, these roads now are unbearable. Our citizens and their goods can barely move throughout the region. Transportation costs is very costly. We are out of office for 3 years and they have not done anything good Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, before 2015, parcels of land were sold to citizens by government functionaries at the regional level. However, even though my friend, the Honorable Minister of Housing, had gone to discuss water and housing, I haven't heard him talk anything about those lands or those parcels of land around the airstrip area that was sold to private citizens. I'd be glad if he can do that quickly for us. That was sold before 2015 election. Nothing has been done about the displacement of these families, Mr. Speaker, on that Moka Arcade. But Madia Arcade, sorry. But we can hear in the press, Mr. Speaker, about Charity, Bushlat, West Coast Movies, and all those other places where people had gone to do squatting. They were regularized. Mr. Speaker, I would like this Honorable Minister to do some regularization of the Madia Arcade vendors and what they were supposed to have gotten since then. But Mr. Speaker, when it comes to education, goal is good. I like that initiative. But last year I spoke about equipping children with the necessary gadgets so they can complete their SBAs. Look at the condition of this one. This was given to me by the National Assembly. I made it available to ordinary poor people's children. I dare none of those ministers over there have ever done something like that to any poor child from their community. Some members of this House may recall the Apple Coalition commenced the 5Bs program, a program that was terminated by this ruling PVP. It doesn't matter, but this help, I am interested in building communities, empowering young people, not destroying them. Mining and logging, etc., is done extensively in Region 8 and other interland areas. There are only one tertiary institution, and I alluded to that in my last presentation, Mr. Speaker. For a teacher training college in that area or a senior, only a teacher training college there. But we need a technical school to cater for the skills that can be associated with mining and logging. Mr. Speaker, I will again, sir. Finally, last year I talked about budgetary allocation, and I had said then that if we divide the budgetary allocation last year by the population, each family could receive $1 million. And I was personally lambasted by the Honorable Attorney General. But little did I have come to put that at rest, sir. I was in company of a special person of legal mind. And there is where that discussion arose, and that decision. Those persons, Mr. Speaker, from a strong family, he was referred to yesterday. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, those people in the legal profession must have contributed more to the development of this country than many of us sitting in here. I'm talking about the very special family. There is a strong legal company of people. Not you. But it's for you to find out who that special family is. They have contributed more to the development in the legal profession than many of us here, including the Honorable Public Works Minister. Finally, Mr. Speaker, I want to encourage this government to encourage the private sector to do much more for the people of Region 8. Because we pay them with a Bank of Guyana check. And most times these checks, Honorable Ashley Singh, Dr. Ashley Singh. There is no bank in Madhya or Region 8 to encash these people checks. So they are left to the mercy of the private sector who will make sure that they take some money from that check. If I work for $20, I must get $20. So they have to buy goods from the shop before their check can be encashed. Or if it's a contract, you got to come to Georgetown to encash his check. Mr. Speaker, I am saying, and I'm encouraging this honorable house for us to put measures in place to alleviate that kind of suffering from ordinary people, including teachers, nurses, and all other workers in Region 8. Mr. Speaker, with those things in mind, I have a difficulty, like my colleague, in endorsing this budget unless we do some adjustments there. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member, Mr. Richard Sinclair, for that uninterrupted presentation